Here's how to handle kids who are just broke mentally, especially going into the last half of season. There's several things that cause this. Number one can be overtraining by the athlete or by the coach. I know that, there's a saying that says that the undertrained athlete will outperform the overtrained athlete every time. Obviously, we want to be perfectly trained, but sometimes that is difficult, right? Especially if you're someone, I know myself, if I had my career to do over again, I probably would not have worked so hard. I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. I would turn everything into a job. I turned my business into a job for the first 10 or 12 years. And, that was 20 years ago when I started, but I have that way of doing it. I think some of us are like that. We turn everything into a big job, and then it's like we're not happy unless we're miserable and we're working and suffering. You don't have to be that way, right? You can enjoy the journey, right? Sure, I need results. I also need to focus on the destination. If I'm in the journey of lifting with the strength coach in the off season and I'm not getting stronger, that destination, I need to quit and find someone else, right? So we do want to focus on the destination as well, but you should enjoy the whole process. And if you listen to the interviews of these famous coaches nowadays, that's a big theme, and it's very smart, because I think in the past, a lot of these coaches nowadays, they're my age, and they came up when we did, when practices were a brutal torture fest, Army boot camp every single day. We always felt like we were beat up. It was like, we just got to get tough, but really they just beat us down, right? So I think training is a lot smarter nowadays. A lot of college wrestling, the top programs, a lot of it's individuals. So you have individual sessions in the morning with the coach, and then the evening practice. I know a top 5 Division I program, their evening practices are only an hour and 20 minutes. They get in there and they have a hard drill. They go some live. They hit some conditioning circuits. If it's a weight room day, they jump in there for 30 minutes and then they're out, right? So find out why you're broke, or why this kid is broke. And if it's overtraining, you would be surprised at just going easy for a few days. A lot of it's an emotional overtraining. Sure, their body will heal up, their legs won't be sore. If it's a weight cutting issue, give them a weekend off. Give them a week off. Say, we're just going to let you worry about making weight, and let them get big. Don't put them on the scale and yell at them. Right now, sure, they don't want to be 20 pounds over, but kind of sit down and have a plan and say, we're going to let you just rest, right? Get in the practice room, wrestle live, get some drilling in. Don't balloon up too big, but we're going to give you a chance just to rest. That scale has been killing you. So if it's a weight cutting issue, do that. If it's just that the kid feels beat up, and remember, some kids are different. I had a great teammate, Alan Freed. He was a 4-time state national champion in junior nationals. Now they just call it Fargo, but back then it was at Northern Iowa. He was a 4-timer. He come into Oklahoma State. He was a 2-time NCAA champion. 2-time NCAA champion, and he actually lost a year. I lost 2 years of my career. He lost 1. We got the death penalty back then for a while, so it was a terrible time. But so he was a great wrestler, right? 2-time NCAA champ. He was a finalist twice, then sat the bench like we all did, and then was the NCAA champ. So probably would have been a 4-time finalist in Division I as well. But sometimes he would just say, I'm done, I need a break, right? And the coach, John Smith, was like, okay, Al, hit the weight room, because he just feel like he needed to be in the weight room. And it wasn't as much of a focus as what he thought we should have. So John's like, hey, come back Wednesday. Just get out of here, hit the weight room. You take care of Alan Freed. I'll see you on Wednesday. And that was pretty smart on his part, because everyone's different, right? So you should have an open line of communication with your athletes. I think sometimes we train all of our athletes. There's always a few kids that just need a kick in the butt every practice. You shouldn't train and treat all of your athletes that way. That's a common theme at our wrestling camp too. I tell my coaches, you know what? Sure. They hear all that nowadays. It's all over, the crazy wrestling parent syndrome. That's bull crap. That's like 1% of the parents, right? And then probably 40% of the parents probably should push their kids more. Most of them right in the middle are just doing it just right, plus or minus a little bit, right? But I'm like, just because you had to deal with one angry parent a summer, or you had 1 or 2 kids at a certain camp that really didn't want to be there, they were just there, for whatever reason, you can't take it out on all the kids. Teachers do this. They're miserable. That's why I had to get out of teaching. The coaches were arrogant. They were egotistical. The teachers were miserable. I'm like, I'm getting out of this. It's poisonous. I'm not saying your school is, or that you as a teacher or a coach are. I'm saying the environment I was at in Texas was poison. I got out of there. Now, the reason I wanted to get into teaching was because my school environment in high school and middle school was amazing. Right? The teachers were young. They had fun. It was just a great environment. Right? So, you want to make sure that your athletes know, you're treating them. We like to coach to the upper third of the group. We'll treat your athletes like humans, right? Sure, might be a few kids that make you mad every day, but you need them around and they're good kids and they're doing just enough. But you don't want to take their frustrations out on every kid, right? So that's good advice for teachers and coaches. But as long as your kids have an open line of communication with you, because you don't treat them like those 4 kids out of 60 that drive you nuts, that need a boot in the butt all the time, their thumb on your thumb on top of them all the time. As long as there's an open line of communication, the kids can say, hey coach, this is what I'm feeling. And a lot of coaching is counseling. All right. Now especially in a high school, you only probably have 40 kids on the team, probably less. Some of you way less. It's pretty easy just to get to know these kids individually and coach them individually. It doesn't take a lot of time, right? It might just be 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. And now with the texting is so amazing because kids like to open up. So if you have a kid that's broken, find out why. If it's weight cutting, if it's overtraining, maybe if you're on them too hard and you need to lighten up. These are all things, but opening up the lines of communication and finding out the whys. Once I know why that roof is leaking, then I fix it. How do I fix it? I don't know what's wrong with it yet, right? We don't do that enough as coaches. Find out what's wrong, right? And don't treat the kid, don't just be Tommy Tough Guy and say, you just got to get tougher. That's stupid, right? You should say, hey, what's wrong? Things aren't looking good. We have to fix something here. Let me know what we need to do and we'll take care of it, right? You have goals. I have goals for you. I want you to be more successful than I ever was, and I'm here to help. What can I do, right? So from a coaching or parenting standpoint, I think if you sit down with your athletes and you avoid those hurdles, maybe if you're a overtraining type of a coach, maybe the kid's in overtraining, you need to pull him off, right? There's a famous story about Barry Davis. Dan Gable used to have to pull him out of the wrestling room. Drake Hotteshell, NCAA champion, he wrestled for us since he was 9 all the way through 18. The Missouri coaches used to have to pull him out of the room and make him take some breaks because they're like, I'm afraid he's going to hurt himself. He's just too driven, right? And he doesn't know how to pace himself a little bit. So find out the whys, if it's you, if it's the kid, if it's a combination of both, if it's a physical thing, if it's a mental thing, emotional thing, a weight cutting thing. Just open up a line of communication, and just like a good 30-minute counseling session, you have a piece of paper and you write down, hey, here we go. This is what we have to do. This is what we're going to do moving forward. Stick to the plan. Day after tomorrow, have a quick text with the kid and try to regroup and say, where are we at here? How you feeling? And the thing is, though, it's kind of like an injury. You come back from an injury and you come back too soon and then you get hurt again. So if the plan was, we're not going to worry about our weight for 2 weeks and we're going to let you go up a weight class, stick to that. The kid's going to feel really good. He might even be chomping at the bit to get back in the room hardcore. But no, you know what? We decided we're going to take 9 days and we're going to give you 3 days off. Rest up your legs, maybe get your energy back up, maybe nurse an injury or whatever. And then we're going to ease into it for another 5 or 6 days. Stick to the original plan. Even if you or the kids kind of chomping at the bit, don't come back too soon. So that's something that I see happen a lot too. But there's some good advice, I believe, for those of you who have athletes or you yourself, or just feel like you're just wore down, exhausted, and maybe even broken mentally a little bit. You just have to admit it, find out what's wrong and fix it. And as a coach or a parent or an athlete, once you have a habit of self-destructing, you need to fix that moving forward, because this will happen again, right? So share this with those who need it. You can check us out at purlerwrestling.com. Good luck.